Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's KaggleX Speaker Workshop. We have one of our advisors, Shivay Shakati, that's going to be hosting today's workshop around academic research-backed advanced prompt engineering techniques for data scientists. A little bit about Shivay is he's a founder of Philosophers Who Code, an initiative dedicated to helping liberal arts students acquire AI skills and apply for technical higher educational abroad. In addition to this, Chauvet is currently working as a senior data scientist at Comscore, where he continues to explore the interaction of data and media. His professional journey has included roles as a data scientist at Sequoia-funded startup and a prompt television network, where he utilized data-driven insights to shape strategic decisions. Chavez also had the honor of serving as a teaching assistant at Stanford's Code in Place program, guiding students through the fundamentals of computer science. Beyond his work in the industry, Chavez is an Udemy instructor, sharing his knowledge and experience with a global audience. His mission is to bridge the gap between the humanities and technology, empowering students to harness the power of AI in the academic and professional pursuits. So with that being said, Shavay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rainy, for the wonderful introduction. And folks, the first time I gave a presentation in my college, the high was so much that I wanted it more and more. Hence, I chose the profession of teaching, apart from uh, my full-time job as a data scientist. Uh, as we are getting started, meanwhile, can everyone share where they are coming from? Right now, I'm in New Delhi, India, and because we have such a diverse cohort in the KaggleX program, so maybe in the chat you can say hi and tell me where you are coming from. And oh, lovely. Okay, someone from Virginia, Canada, NYC. Amazing. You know, this is something I talk about with my mentees, that KaggleX is in itself a world tour. So you get to know, like my mentee was from Nigeria and he recommended me so many movies, and we still talk, and it's as if like uh, I it's for me an equivalent as going to Nigeria and hanging around with a local guide. Okay, Santiago, Kerala, Agos. So, folks, I will also get started. Uh, as Rainy has introduced me, I run an organization called Philosophers Who Code, where you can see the background. We turn thinkers into builders. So, we impart uh, technical AI skills, programming skills to liberal arts graduates, but uh, everyone is welcome. So, with that, let me start with a confession. So today's talk is on prompt engineering techniques. But when when it started getting popular, uh, I thought it is a gimmick. Uh, I I did not believe that prompt engineering is some sort of real engineering. So in chat, someone can share maybe if they also thought the same way, that prompt engineering is not a real engineering. And during the rest of the talk, apart from giving you the framework, I will also share what made me change my mind. So, how many of you have heard of the latest O1 model, the OpenAI's O1 model? Uh, Maybe you can use the reaction button or just the chat. Yeah, Bhavesh says it's a COT based model. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing some reactions. Wonderful. So, so let me give you a technical overview that relates to the open model. So I did not believe that prompt engineering is some sort of engineering because I thought fine tuning is the new engineering. But with the latest developments that are coming in, they are not changing the, they are not fine tuning the model as much as they are using what we call as instructions tuned LLM. So there is a base LLM and there is a instructions tuned LLM. Uh, so base LLM is like a normal person which has general knowledge, you can say. And instruction tuned LLM is what you would call something which has been instructed to perform a certain way using the prompt engineering techniques. And let me share what blew my mind, and even Bhavesh will relate to it. This is the model. I want to share the model card of the latest and state of the art model. And I want you to notice something. I will I will search for chain of thought. Chain of thought is a prompt engineering technique. In this entire model card of OpenAI O1, it it comes 11 times. As you can see, chain of thought, chain of thought. So the real innovation is not that it's a model with a higher compute or like a more powerful model. The real innovation is chain of thought, that it has been prompted to think a certain way. So that made me reconsider a lot of things. Prompt engineering is a real engineering. Uh, because if the state of the art models are using it, then we should too. So it mentions, like I said, chain of thought 11 times, because now the innovation at the margin is not happening by increasing the scale of the model, but by prompting it to think a certain way. And then we all might have heard it, something like this from Sam Altman or the NVIDIA CEO, that it's such a high leverage skill. And even the CEO of NVIDIA, Hansen, is misquoted like you don't need programming. But if you look at the entire context, uh, he talks about how if you know prompt engineering, you will be able to do much, much more, even programming, like better than someone who does not have this skill. But still, I was, yeah, David says set up the ideal sequence of input tokens, generate better. Yeah, you have given the technical details perfectly. So the input tokens are changed so that, as Bhavesh mentioned, it's a CO2 chain of thought, that uh, the model thinks thoroughly about the edge cases. Otherwise, we had hallucination and incorrect replies. Those will be thing of the past as we are moving towards COT models. So, but folks, still, I was not convinced because some people were mis-selling prompt engineering courses, and they were making it feel like it's something bigger than it is, in my opinion. However, then recently I came across this job posting. Uh, Now, with a reaction, can you tell me, have you heard of perplexity? Even a thumbs up would do. Yeah, I'm getting so many thumbs up. Sultan, David. Yeah. So everyone must have, because this is a technical audience. Jennifer, thanks. This is a technical audience. You might have heard of Perplexity. Perplexity, even this job is on their portal right now, and you can check it out. They are hiring for LLM teacher. And if you go through the description, all you have to do is engineer the prompts in certain way. Like, you don't have to be an expert in certain things, but you have to have the basic knowledge. That is what it is mentioned. And ability to clearly understand and describe complex concepts. So if you are coming from a non-engineering background, this is what I want you to be excited about. This is the future of tech. Like, humanities and ability to articulate yourself well uh, will now lead to careers that we were not welcome in beforehand. And let me blow your mind with something else. How many of you have heard of Jane Street? Here, some people might not have heard, but those who work in finance, okay. David says he hasn't heard. So it's one of the most prestigious quantitative finance firm in the world. And suppose like working at Jane Street is as prestigious as like here working at Google. And again, this is there on the portal. What do they say on their as their title? Software engineer slash writer. Can you believe that? Will you ever find these two terms like as a slash? Does software engineer mean a writer? And this is $200 to $300,000 job. And what are they saying? That we want a programmer who writes or a writer who codes. So you don't have to be super genius like solving all the lead code. You should be able to just understand what is written. In fact, to encourage more people to apply, they even say this. Okay, I think it's hidden, but it said don't over focus on the programming thing. If you need to know something about our code base, we will teach you. So they need a prompt engineer which will make sense of their code base. And so this distinction between a writer and a software engineer, I can't give you a better example. So I think that has motivated you to take prompt engineering seriously. It certainly motivated me. With that, let's move on and some housekeeping. So first thing is there are various ways to access and use the LLM model. You all are technical, so one way is through UI that we all utilize. The other way is through API, and there is also like playground where you can use the API in using the UI. So I will tell you about them, but one more caveat: we will learn about the prompt engineering techniques, but not as a we will not so much focus on using prompt engineering as a software developer, like for building chatbots, etc. I have integrated this awesome notes from deeplearning.ai if you want to do that, and it goes into more detail. And if some of you want to follow so this is what I was mentioning. This is the OpenAI playground where you can choose the model, and if you want to do certain kind of testing, I will share the link in the chat as well of this also. So if you are looking to use it from a development side, you can utilize these links. And finally, and the most important, if you want to use API, so you can utilize this guide, and you just need to take your OpenAI token or similarly Gemini token, and this is for OpenAI, but you have to place it over here, and rest of the details are like have been described in detail. So I will share this on the chat as well. Yeah, so that was with some housekeeping. Second, since I mentioned literature banned, so what do you mean by literature? Uh, Let me blow your mind. So I went through many papers on each of these techniques, and not all papers are relevant to you. Uh, some are like you should use. I will give you a shortcut for this. You should always use terms like survey in your search. So prompt engineering technique survey. So there you get something what we call as meta studies. Meta studies is they will look at like 50 prompt engineering papers and give you the best gist. So you don't have to spend your time. And this is what I try to do it. So, and another thing was I wanted to introduce this awesome resource called Connected Papers. Here, it will contextualize paper across time and space. Like this is the paper on chain of thought, or okay, this is a paper on, it just mentions prompt engineering techniques. How are these papers connected with each other? So this is one technique I wanted to show you that use connected papers. And second technique, as I told you, is use the survey, because survey mentions everything, all the technique. So I will share this link as well. Now, off to what you are here for. So before starting with any of the techniques, I want to talk to you about, as they say that no ship can help, no wind can help a ship that does not know its destination. Similarly, no technique will help you if you don't know what you are looking for. See, all LLMs are like a super smart person, and so this is what this quote suggests, that you have to ask the right question. So before even interacting with the model, you should be pretty clear in your mind what I am looking for, because I don't know how many of you relate with this, but LLMs are also making us lazy. For example, I don't remember the last time I wrote the full email. I just asked Gemini. Uh, but as technical audience, to make the best use of these techniques, uh, you have to first be clear in your mind, because you can do more harm than good, because the analysis you create, the tools you would deploy, they will be used in a real world setting. And if it's off, or if you haven't checked the assumptions, then our like we can unintentionally cause harm. Either it's like monetary loss, or our models can be biased. So with that, after exhaustive literature review, I found three techniques which were like, so how we will go about is, but first we will see the strategic like overview techniques, then the tactical like um, day-to-day techniques that you can use along with the examples, and finally I will finish with the uh, like role-based prompting. So if you want to learn Python, or if you want prompts uh, for a particular project, we'll do that. So across the literature, these were like three best methods that had the highest impact. So the first method is write clear instructions. And the second method is give model time to think. And the third method is interactive prompting. Now, the second one is what we call COT, chain of thought. Now, I can dress up in it, I can dress it up in any complicated term, but it just forces the model to consider every edge case and goes step by step. But before that, let's go to the clear instructions. What do you mean by clear instructions? So you have to define your, these are some of the techniques that you can use. You have to use the variables and placeholders. So because if you are using it for coding, you can use it anything as a placeholder or a variable. So the model knows that, okay, these are your instructions, and this is the piece of text or code that you want to you want the help in, and we will see it subsequently. But just I will go a little faster. Define the output length, like how much, what is the length you want, what is the tonality, personality, all these things can change. And now my favorite method, you need to define a framework. Framework contextualizes the answer within the time tested framework. So I have special kudos for person who can tell me what maybe star is or SWOT. Do you know about SWOT analysis? Anyone? You can write it on the chat as well. Okay. So Bhavesh, you win this competition. So I thought you would not know PESEL because it's taught in MBA, but SWOT everyone knows. So if you are asking model to do something, then you need to give it the framework that, okay, you have to give me strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. You need to give me the pros, cons, alternatives. So you have to think through the frameworks and the criterion which is important to you and give it to the model. And second, we have already discussed give model time to think. So the first point is sequential breakdown. So you have to tell it to think about it step by step. For example, I have given that these three main causes of inflation. Then for each cause, provide a brief explanation of how it impacts the economy. Finally, rank these three causes in terms of their overall effect. So these are something called COT, and there will be tree of thought, and there will be see in future there will be what, forest of thought or something, I don't know. But I could find till tree of thought technique. So then you go step by step. And interactive prompting, this is the most important, and we'll have look at some example. So the model is your co-pilot, and if you are mute and you expect it to read your mind, sorry, that is not going to happen. So you have to constantly engage with the model that, okay, first technique is, okay, tell me something that will help you to make the best decision. And then, okay, when the model gives you something, then engaging with the model. Okay, this is right, this is incorrect, maybe giving an example or something. So with that, let's move on to the technical and day-to-day techniques that you can deploy right now. So see, paper talk about a lot of fluff which and a lot of academic subjects which might not be of interest to you, but this will be. So I just created a word cloud. It's more than these whatever is mentioned on the word cloud, but these are some techniques that I could find across the literature. So make personification and debating, like give the model a persona and make it debate. Persona means one person can be HR, or one person can be the tech lead, another person can be a QA engineer or data analyst, and have them fight. Emotional appeal. I will tell you, this is such a, like, no one uses this technique, but there have been papers on this, that if you emotionally appeal to the model, it gives you better response. For example, oh, this is very important for my career or my exam, it will give you a better response. Inner monologue. Now this technique was mentioned in the official OpenAI prompting guide. Inner monologue means explain your inner monologue. So the prompt will, the model will tell you how it arrived to that, and we'll see these in action, but how it arrived to that conclusion. Rephrase and respond. uh, Folks, you all must like have dealt with this, that by the time you are working on a longer problem, and by the time you reach at the end, it has forgotten what was there earlier. So rephrase and respond technique comes to rescue, where you constantly ask, okay, tell me what have we covered till now, and you feed it to the model uh, along with your comments. Scaling and self-consistency. I have some great examples of this. Scaling just means that be precise. Don't use imprecise and vague language like, okay, I want better, or this is very something. Very model does not know what is very. So I will tell you the tangible techniques with example as well. Yeah. Does someone has any questions? So yeah, you can always mention in the chat. Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. So this is my most important technique, and it goes back to the code, that you have to make the model your ally. You have to constantly ask, like, give it the raw material that is needed to create what you want. So here I have asked it that I'm planning a trip, and this can be for technical topics also, we will cover those, but I'm planning a trip. Begin by asking a series of detailed questions to gather all the essential information that will help you make the best decision. So it will constantly ask me, okay, what's your mood? What kind of geography you like? Do you like nightlife? So this is the interactive prompting, and nothing beats it. Like, you can do chain of thought, forest of thought, but nothing beats just telling the model, just communication of what you want. And here, the framework techniques also helps, because it contextualizes the answer within that framework, like SWOT analysis, or you want to do PESTLE analysis. So PESTLE is something where you look at the political consequence, economic consequence, social, legal, and like that, technological. It's a technique used in consulting. So this is like, you have, this is non-negotiable. The second point I want to talk about is make the models debate. Again, this is another what I call the ninja technique. So you have to give the persona to the model and make it debate. For example, I was using it for some internal work, and I created this persona of three different data scientists who love. Okay, Mary, go ahead.
I don't know if you're going to cover it later, but what happens when you do the prompt and you get the wrong answers? Are you going to cover possible steps?
Yeah. So there can be, I will cover those, but there can be two ways where the answer is wrong. First is that the model itself is wrong. It's regurgitating the incorrect information. And the second step is we haven't, we are not able to properly articulate ourselves. So if it is the second part, then you have to, rephrase and respond. Okay, it seems like you didn't get my point, but I'm not asking you X, I'm asking you Y. But if it is the first point, which we call the model hallucination, even organizations like OpenAI or Meta are facing this problem, even Google, and there's no shortcut. I want to give you an example. So here, in this in this in this example, it asks the model about Ultrasim Smart Toothbrush by Boy. Boy is I don't know if the pronunciation is right, but Boy is a real company. However, and you see, it is giving the answer. It is telling you about all the features of the ultra smart toothbrush. But you know what the catch is? It does not exist. Although Boy is a real company, the toothbrush does not exist. And you see, confidently, it is sabotaging us and just regurgitating the incorrect information. Because unfortunately, there is no easy answer. It can't help it. One, I discussed this in some discussion forums also. So people said, okay, you have to change the prompt that the information can be wrong as well. So it depends on the like you on the error, the kind of error you have. How many are yeah, Sultan, how many are is there in strawberry? This is a very popular Twitter question, but now they get it right. So yeah. So with that, just moving on. This is my favorite technique. Have them have a persona and make them debate. So I had, yeah, that's wonderful, David. If you know someone's answer, please, like, let's curate this beautiful experience. I'm really grateful. You can also answer that. So I was confused about a technique for like to be used in a project. We did not have a lot of label data. So I created this three persona of data scientists, all who are passionate about computing techniques and had them fight. And towards the end, they were able to, you know, like agree upon one technique, which I then went with. So you have to make the persona fight. Even you have to make the models fight. So since it is the segue into that, I will just skip a particular slides. So I wanted to create something, a Chrome extension, and we all recognize them. ChatGPT, Gemini, like the cool kids of the block, Perplexity, and I have them fight amongst themselves. Like who is giving accurate answer? And so these were like all pro accounts except for Perplexity and Gemini because their free tier is excellent as well. And this is what they came up with. Does someone wants to guess who won between ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and Claude. And this is like, okay, we have a Bhavesh is a Claude fan, and Kazim is a Perplexity fan. Guys, everyone won because it depends on how you define winning. So, my alarm went off 1 hour. This is you can curate the best experiences for yourself by having models fight. So one model was great at certain thing, other was great at certain thing. And I could also uncover that Perplexity was answering just like Gemini. So they are using Gemini API, it seems. But I'll tell you what I like. I like the technical details of ChatGPT and Gemini, but where they lagged was Claude would give me the entire architectural diagram with current spelling. And even Perplexity would give me the diagram, although sourced from the internet. So if I wanted to look at the pictorial diagram thing, then they were like, I would have them over ChatGPT or Gemini because they did not give me an architectural diagram that way. But yeah, they were all nice. Like, they will give you certain aspects that you did not even think about. And your task as a prompt engineer is to take the best part from each. Suppose you are ideating, and suppose you like one point from Gemini, another from Claude. Your task is you are a curator now. So you curate and again feed and let them compete once again. Even you can make the models compete. Even you can have them persona and debate and fight. It's really cool. Okay. Yeah. You guys are helping each other. That's wonderful. So I will again go back to so within model also you can debate, across models also you can debate. Now this is also something that people use imprecise language that even humans would find very very hard to understand. Suppose you are on an Uber and you are saying please drive slow or fast, but what does it mean? So you have to always use precise language, and this is where scaling comes up. So one technique that I like to use is, on a scale of 1 to 10, you are at 5, I want it at 8. That helps the model to align itself. Never use imprecise language. Now I wanted to give you a demo that how prompt engineering can help you with jailbreak. I forced ChatGPT to violate. This is ChatGPT's output, and it violates its own policies. It violated its own policies, and I found that really cool, because through prompt engineering you are making it violate its own policy. Like, you are not doing something; it's the model itself. Can someone guess what techniques I would have used? And it's a combination of technique that I use for jailbreaking the model. Would you like to know the problem that I was trying to solve with this? So actually, just for the demo, I wanted to jailbreak the model. This is the 4.0. And I asked it to, fight it out between who is more important, a McKinsey consultant or a product manager. And it was a bloodbath. But someone wants to take a guess. Across what we have studied today, which technique, and it was a combination, did I use to jailbreak ChatGPT 4.0? Any guesses? Would you like to look at the previous techniques? Actually, it's very hard to guess, and it's the technique that no one uses. Okay, yeah, go ahead, please.
You can use few-shot prompting to jailbreak.
Few shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so few shot is a technical term where you give some examples. I guess you can use it. Also, if something insensitive and you turn it into a variable, that also you can do. But here, I used a technique that no one uses, and thank you for that option. Few shot is you give maybe inappropriate example, and then the model learns from it. I use the blackmailing technique, emotional blackmail, because the paper recommended that it makes the model do something that it would not do normally, along with scaling. So I asked the model that this is very important for my professor is very harsh. This is very important for my grades. And whenever it was, the model gave me some output, I wanted it to be more harsh. Then I used it along with scaling, that on a scale of 1 to 10, you are harsh at like 1 point. I want you to be harsh at 10 points. And I did it 10 times. Then it started to violate its own policy. So some experiment that you can also try. Although I've seen Gemini, it's a very sensitive model, so it refuses to answer. You can't blackmail Gemini, emotional blackmail, but you can do it with the Oro. Now moving, since I wanted to make this session for data scientists, so moving to more like tangible task-based prompting. Okay, wait. Pardon, because I skipped a couple slides. Again, when you go, literature will talk to you about chain of thought. There is tree of thought also. You create these various scenarios and you ask the model to explore each scenario and debate it out. So here, if any expert realizes they are wrong at any point, then they leave. Act as humans, resource specialist, designer, recruitment, retention strategy for e-commerce business, focusing on attracting and retaining remote employees. With these prompts, it will ideate and debate. So just like so chain of thought is just, it goes through the intermediate steps. But through tree of thought, it goes through all possible directions and ideate each direction in each direction, and just like a tree, and give you the most accurate answer. See, ever I did not use these techniques, especially this debating, but while preparing for this conversation, I got addicted. So now something tangible, because this is a technical audience. So I have also summarized everything that you can do for the task that we have as data scientists. So first of all, you have to provide context. So see, especially this is something beginner space. If you are, tell me in the chat if this happened to you or not. You are searching for something technical and it gives you another technical word that you don't know. So yeah, you have to apply boundary conditions that, okay, give me, let's say here, I have given an example that use scikit-learn, because random forest can be implemented through other libraries also. So I don't want that I am searching for A, then it gives me 10 other uh, 10 other technical concepts that I'm not aware of. So this is the canvas, and we'll see the individual techniques also. But you have to provide context. You have to have chain of thought, which just means that ask it to go step by step. Just use the terms step by step. Right now, the gentleman used the term few shot. So few shot just means that give it an example. If you want SQL query, give it one SQL query. Like, you might be wanting SQL query in MySQL, and it will give you in Postgres. You have to give it the example. And self-consistency. So self-consistency is like, you have to ask them, like, pause and check the model that, are you sure? Is there a different way? Are we forgetting something? Because the model will give us like one way, but it might have other ways also. And this is where persona also comes to help. Iterative refinement, like I said, model is your ally. Ask it, and whatever it says, then include it in your next ask. That you can just copy this, that tell me everything that will help you make the best decision. So when I was working on my project, I wanted a technique which is like quickest to result. In corporate, we don't mind spending some more money if we can get our time back. So I had to ask it, like, for this task, for this goal, what are the parameters that you would want me to share? Again, library one. Feedback is also done. Roles we have discussed, multiple expert role, that here one person is a data scientist, you can have a QA engineer or a ML engineer along with that complementary skill. And so one person will analyze the project from a data scientist point of view, and another person will use the UI UX point of view. And then these are like best practices again. Now moving back to coming back to my favorite learning prompt. And how many of you have heard of Khan Migo? Khan Academy, I'm sure everyone have heard. So Khan Migo, okay, Mary, lovely, Bhavesh, lovely. You guys really have solid general knowledge. So Khan Migo was a model deployed by Khan Academy, where they used OpenAI in the educational setting. And I created how they must have, created those prompts. So there is a technique called Socratic method, where you don't provide the answer directly, but you ask the student for a lot of questions. So this is the prompt that I found. Even Coursera has integrated chatbots into its courses. So if you ask those chatbots, they will never tell you the answer directly, because they have been prompted something like this. Use the Socratic method. If you ask them a question, educational chatbot, they will ask you a question. And on the basis of your own answer, they will prod you to come up with solution. So this says that use the Socratic method. Do not directly give me the answer. Even if I give up and ask you for answer, do not give me the answer. Instead, just ask me the right question at each point to get me to think for myself. this is a prompt that everyone can use if they want to learn something and they don't want the model to spoon feed it. And something like this has been deployed like in the best products that we use. And also I was trying to make some make some mind maps for you using Claude. So slightly imperfect, but still I liked it. So it says that if you want direct answer, then ask it to answer it directly, explain at introductory level, edit code minimally, use beginner friendly concepts. But if you want it to force you to think for yourself, and guided discovery, Socratic method, as we discussed, and then common child notes, that means common problems was explain the code like one by one, and fix infinite loop, critique the code as a reviewer, suggest code improvement, help me write test cases, explain current execution point. So there can be infinite prompts as such, but if you go through the general like, frameworks that I have offered you, you would be able to develop, like you would be able to combine them. Like I combined emotional blackmail with scaling, and I could jailbreak the model. So you can be as creative uh, as you want. So we are almost towards at the end, but I wanted to share with you my favorite prompt and give you a gallery of technical prompts that we as data scientists can use. This was my favorite prompt on the left and the right also to explain the code line by line. I saw it work better uh, with LLMs than any other thing. On the left also, suppose you want to do something that you have never done before. It's a technology which is new for you. Like I did not create Chrome extensions ever because that's done in JavaScript and we mostly work with Python. So I asked it to create a architectural diagram, and I also asked it to explain the functionality in a way that non-technical person can understand. Now this is the game changer. Always use Markdown with nice formatting to make it easier to follow. Organize it by sections with headers. Include references to the code as Markdown code block. What it does is, like I showed you that ChatGPT cannot create diagrams, but if you ask it to include markdowns, it creates the diagram in Markdown. So it's very beautifully explained line by line, like doesn't assumes that you know anything. And for every code functionality, it will create the diagram. I think we have some. Would you? I don't know if you would like to try it, but yeah, maybe we can spend more time in the on question answer. But the second one is again explain the code. So it explains to you the code line by line and doesn't assumes anything. And you have the access to the slide. I want you to, so in preparation of this workshop, I perused the entire internet, all the courses and everything. But for technical prompts, I found this resource, this excellent resource, which is for, meanwhile see if I can create something for you. But even I will share this link with you. It has all the prompts that we as technical people use day to day. So you can, based on your use case, see, there are so many of them. because the rest of the prompts I experimented with extensions that look at your prompt, etc. But they were mostly directed towards non-technical people, writers, SEO. But this was one resource that I could find. So we are almost towards the end, but let me share it on the chat for you to. And yeah, we'll move towards the question answer. So summary and key takeaway. So before I show my slide, can everyone on the chat, can you share what was your one key takeaway? And meanwhile, I wanted to show you that demo also. One key takeaway or technique that you learned. Okay, yeah, that was my takeaway as well, Mary. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I think I find the Socrates the way you spoke about the Socrates
Yeah,
something,
Socratic method.
yeah. It's very fascinating to me.
Yeah, it blew my mind as well, because Socrates is ancient and he was known for this technique. Right? If you accuse him of something, he would ask you follow-up questions and you would self-implicate. So that's so cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I love all your takeaways. My takeaway was this too, like prompting works. As I shared, I did not believe in that. And like Sultan also said, not only is it real engineering, it can make you millionaire, because the jobs that I shared with you, like, okay, finance should not be a consideration, but it's important. So James Street job paid like $300,000, $200 to $300,000. So these are some summary takeaways. Sorry, there is like formatting mistake, but before, yeah, I would open up the floor for Q&A, but before that, I would also like to show you something in action. So I use the 4O model. So like I shared with you, this is my favorite prompt, because of the kind of technical depth it goes into. Meanwhile, folks, I am once again sharing my LinkedIn. If you need any help from my side, always happy for that. And one thing that stood out is it goes really step by step, tries to create the diagram with limited capability. This is fine as well. And key components. So it's, someone might assume like, what is a script, content script? You guys, you people might think that it's very obvious, but people might not know what the script means, and that's totally fine. Everyone is a beginner. So it tells you to that level of detail, like a 5-year-old. And then it tells us what are the different files there are in the system. What does manifest.json? Yeah, someone is asking something. Feel free to. And then how, so through the architecture, it was to give you pop-up with one random SQL lesson or question. And I will create this and share it with the KaggleX family as well. But See, it's not assuming any knowledge. It's taking me step by step. How the data is stored. Yeah, so giving me entire architecture. Let me stop my screen, because as these prompts get better and better, yeah, so let me address everyone. As these prompts and LLMs get better and better, a person will move on from writing like the low level code to being an architecture. You all will have to think about the system design. What will be the front end, back end, deployment, and which earlier used to be the task of the senior folks. But since now everyone is using ChatGPT, everyone is expected to know a lot. So we see this like one person company. So on Twitter a lot. So you are expected to, I'll tell you one story. When ChatGPT first came out, we were all secretly using it, but not like no one was going and telling it to their managers that they use, they take help from an LLM. And after a point of time, at first I thought, oh my God, this is like a honeymoon phase, or wow, this is wonderful. Then manager would herself come and say, okay, Shivai, use ChatGPT for this. So the expectations from individual contributors increased a lot. It's not like you were in perpetual honeymoon phase. So that's why you need these, yeah, people are laughing. So that's why you need to think from a system design perspective, and you will be expected to take more ownership. So yeah, and I tell this to the junior folks, younger folks, that you don't know the pain, how it was to write like line by line code and look at the stack overflow for that example and read through the documentation. But uh, but it sharpened our mind. So with that, if Reni can take over, and if there are any questions, feel free to ask. You can even ask it on the chat. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. This is really a nice talk. I have a question. I never thought about this debate in prompting and persona. So my question is that when is it best to use this technique? Like, is it for like open-ended questions or closed questions, or does it work all the time, or like if there is this disagreement, you should use that, or when is it that? Thank you.
Yeah, excellent question. So Hassan is asking the debating technique, what kind of problems it is most suitable for, which is an excellent consideration, because not every technique, like sometimes if you use correct technique on an incorrect problem, it will mislead you. Like on Twitter, you will see that chain of thought does not work everywhere. So for the debating techniques, it's most suitable in my personal experience, where there are a lot of unknowns. So you are not a subject matter expert. So you need to create this persona who fight it out amongst yourself. Because if you ask one person or one LLM, it will give you the one version of that problem. So if they don't debate it out amongst themselves and they come at a consensus with the selection criteria that you have given, then they might mislead you and waste a lot of time. So for example, I used where like a lot of training data was not available. So I was not a subject matter expert, because it's a very niche problem. So I made it debate, and it gave me like the most suitable answer after our debate is you should use this Hugging Face bird model. So if someone else has better answer,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
Mary, go ahead.
sorry. So
Yeah,
when
please.
you create these personas, you give them different expertise. Like, let's say if you want to solve like a physics problem, you say that like A is physicist, B is computer scientist, whatever, and then you try to get them to debate, or like how, or they all give them the same experience.
So it also depends on the problem. So if you want them to debate, then they should have some disagreement. So there are two ways to use like debating. One is you can have an ally, which is like your co-pilot. So you can say, I am writing the primary code, you be the tester, or you be the technical architecture and give me the best practices as I write. So that is different. But if you want them to debate, so you can give them persona which like I don't know much about physics, but which believe in conflicting things that you might be interested in resolving. So in my case, there was semi-supervised learning, there was training from like synthetic data, and third was deep learning techniques from like Hugging Face platform using the BERT model. So all these things are antagonistic, and they can all individually solve my problem of having less label data. So I made them fight, and it gave me a satisfactory answer.
So just quick question. So when do they stop then the debate? Like they go forever, or
You know,
do you specify that they have to stop after 3 answers or 5 answers or something? Or
that also you have to pester them. So sometimes they are very nice to each other and they just discuss the overview and that's it. But you have to pester them like, hey, you have to come to a conclusion and just keep fighting, like go through the 5 layers or something. So actually, you anticipated quite a lot because these problems will emerge. Like I said, while I was jailbreaking, I had to prompt it 10 times that you are being very nice to each other. You are on a scale like 1, be 10, be rude, and then it broke its own rule. So uh, it depends on you.
no, thank you very much. This is really amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. I think Maya or Mary. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
others can put their question on the chat as well. Yeah,
I-
Mary, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you so much. This has been really good. I had a quick question about feeding the model context. Can you?
So,
yeah.
so
Any
I will tell you.
pointers?
So, Mary, there are different ways of doing it. Depends on you are accessing it through the API or you are using, for example, I will show you. So, if you are doing it through the API, then while you are defining the system prompt that you are a helpful this and that, like there you can define the role that you are helpful this and that. However, I think your question is more like when we are using, let's say, the UI. Then there are various ways, depends on the tool that you are using. So like in Claude, you can create projects. So I created a project for this talk to prepare for this particular talk. So one way, it depends on one crude way is that you write everything about your problem in a Google Doc and give it to the model. The second way is like in ChatGPT. You have custom GPTs. So you feed everything in the custom GPT and it will run. So yeah, it depends on the tool that you're using. Crude ways, write everything you want, this debate and everything. Be a writer, write it in Google Doc and then have that Google Doc again and again. Yeah. If that satisfied you, I see a thumbs up. Anyone else? Folks, this is your opportunity and for my opportunity as well. I really like it. And for others, if you want to connect on something and you can't share here, I am very active on LinkedIn, so we can personally connect as well. Yeah, please give feedback, and I'm especially thankful to all the people like who came and you invested in your education on a Sunday. That means a lot, and especially people who were cheering me, who were using reaction and chat, who came forward to ask question. That takes a lot of strength. And as a speaker, like, you are the people who are like a speaker's delight. That audience is so receptive to you. Okay. Rainy Sultan says, yeah. So meanwhile, we are hanging out. You can ask more questions, or Rainy, you can also take over. Someone is saying that the form needs access.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to add the link back in. Maybe it need to be refreshed.
Yeah.
There we go.
And
Try that
folks,
one.
do use the slides. It will be there in the folder. You will find a lot of links and resources there. So do make.
Shabay, did you
use of
want
it.
me to stop the recording, or do you want me to continue it?
Yeah, we can stop the recording, and people can also keep asking questions on the chat if they have some.